Hello and welcome to Reportage. This is Danish bin Nabi. In today's segment of Reportage, I have a recently released novel by the name Afternoon, which is written by Nidhi Dalmia and has been published by the Rupa Publications. Let's listen into Mr. Dalmia. Mr. Dalmia, explain to me, why have you named this wonderful novel as Afternoon? What's the secret behind this word, afternoon?
Afternoon is a very special time. A lot of things can happen in an afternoon, and it's also a very sensuous time. It's an in-between time. It's reminds me of Alberto Moravia and his writing, and it can be a lotus eating time. It's a very special time when you don't think anything is going to happen and a lot can happen. It's a time when a lot of people are lot of office people are at work, but other people are at rest. It's not the time when you start work, it's not the time when you end work. It's that in-between time which can lead to very special things. And particularly, it's in reference to its sensuousness that I named it Afternoon. And
Mr.
in the
Dalmia,
beginning of
what is the connection of afternoon with Kashmir? Explain it to the viewers, the connection between Kashmir and the afternoon.
Okay, now Kashmir, one of the love interests in this is from Kashmir, and she a lot of things happen between. Well, she's also a protagonist. Between her as a protagonist and Rajiv as the other protagonist, a lot of special interplay takes place, particularly in the afternoon when, in a sense, no one is watching, no one thinks anything is going to happen. Things happen between them. And also, one more thing, at the start of the story, there is a bit about Rajiv as a young boy cutting a tree, and that is in the afternoon. And he cuts it in the afternoon. There's an afternoon haze about the place, and even the Malis are absent. They may be dozing off. So, to this cutting of this young tree, the only witness is an old mango tree, and the rest you'll have to read on to see what happens that afternoon.
You have talked a lot about life, how important it's for a person to have a family, to have the parents. But then you again go on to say that one should not be more dependent on the parents because he needs to be independent sometimes. Explain to me, to the viewers, about the support of the parents and about this independent norm that one should have.
Okay, the parents are there to support us, come upright, and most parents, if not all, do their best to make us strong inside, make us strong mentally, emotionally, of course, physically, so that we can face the world, because sooner or later they'll be gone and we'll be on our own. So, on the one hand, their proper nurturing is very important. And I'm not referring to just the basics, which is food, shelter, clothing, and not even just education, but above all, nurturing emotional support, the giving of proper values so that we can grow up as compassionate citizens who care for others in this world and with the right spiritual values.
And what is the value of the parents in the given the South Asian family setup we have? What is the essence of the parents?
Uh, the parents are there as somebody who, when we are young, they form a protective umbrella around us. And uh, they are there to give us emotional maturity, uh, spiritual uh, intelligence, in the sense of the right values, the right uh, interest in spirituality. And I'm not talking about religion, because spirituality is much beyond religion. And so the value of parents is, uh, first of all, they mirror us so that we get a strong sense of ourselves. And we believe in ourselves. And they help us to grow as their value comes from helping us to grow as uh, confident, independent citizens of this world who can contribute to it, who can um, hold their own, who can be creative. So that's their value.
Mr. Dalmia, I assume that your youthful days must be 1960s, 1970s. How
Yeah,
different,
exactly.
yeah, how different is the situation right now? How different is the society? 1960s, 1917 societies, and now, how different have we gone from that era to this era? What is the difference between the two?
The difference between the two is that was a time of great idealism. And we thought, all of us who were growing up then, that this will go on forever and the world has changed for good, because those were days when we believed in peace, in in the rights of others, and in at the same time being independent as individuals. So it was a time of great upheaval. There was the sexual revolution. Above all, it started in Berkeley, San Francisco, where much of the book is set. But a lot of those people came to India speaking to find themselves, including people like Steve Jobs, to give one example. But a lot of the people who became captains of industry, of the film world, of the creative arts, of education. A lot of them made this pilgrimage to India to find themselves in a quest for spirituality, because they knew that India was the one place that was spiritual and which wasn't about only a materialistic quest for money.
Now,
So
what has exactly changed? Explain to me what has now actually changed as far as the Indian society is concerned.
So now what has changed is somehow along the way that idealism got lost, because that was the time in the 60s when people sang, if you come to San Francisco, wear flowers in your hair. And when the police accosted these students, they would, and with guns sometimes, they would put flowers in their barrels and offer them flowers instead of guns. So uh, it was a time when they felt that uh, moral crudity should go and people should be free to live, to love. That's why one of the songs was "Give Peace a Chance," and festivals like Woodstock took place. But then gradually, from the late 70s, then the early 80s, gradually there was a pushback from conservative elements. And then some of the changes lasted and are still there. Like the sexual revolution changed everything. The cultural revolution where everybody was taught to think for themselves changed everything. But the pushback also meant that that trend was reversed to some extent. So, as a consequence, there were some permanent changes, some permanent benefit, but some of the changes didn't last. And now it's become a time of conservatism in many respects. It's become a time, unfortunately, of, I mean, there was a pushback and some of the gains were lost. So
Just
now that idealism is diluted.
just hold on a second, sir. Sir, can we start? Apologies.
No
I
problem,
have
no
actually
problem.
I have another appointment at 4:30. That's why he
Okay,
was actually calling. Yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
let's
All right,
start. Yeah, let's
let's
start. Yeah.
start. Yeah. So
You have also mentioned in the book, in the novel rather, that moving abroad and leaving back your family is harsh and very hard for a person. And many
yes,
like yes, and many like you in India have gone abroad. How what are the basic hiccups? What are the mental blocks that a person goes through?
okay. I mean, the culture is vastly different, and the bigger the place, the more impersonal it is. Here, as Indians, as South Asians, we take a lot of interest in other people's affairs, not in a bad way, but that's the culture. Where, whereas in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles and New York, big cities, no one is bothered. No one is bothered at all. What you are doing, what is happening to you. In a way, that's refreshing. But on the other hand, it's also you can feel very lonely. So that is one big difference because it's every man or woman for himself. The other differences are, um, for example, we as South Asians are, if we go to some place, even if we are poor, even if we are not well off as students, which most students aren't, then if we are having something together to eat, for example, one student will think nothing of buying something for another student. There, in the West, that's not the culture. Everybody pays for themselves. And I remember I was also very poor as a student. And once in Finland, uh, I went with a group of them to a restaurant. They all ordered things. I didn't have money, so I just kept them company. So one of them ordered something for me. So I took it for granted because in India, okay, we do it. But it was nice of him to order it, but he mentioned it more than once that, look, I paid for you. Now that is different because in India, or we won't do that. So,
Miss,
yeah,
yeah,
carry
yeah,
on.
please go on.
No, so there are many cultural differences, and that comes as a shock. And gradually you get used to it.
Mr.
But
Mr. Mr. Dalmia, my last question. What advice would you give to the people who want to go abroad, especially to the States and the Europe?
yeah, so the best advice I could give is, I think, do not always respect yourself. Do not look at yourself with the eyes of anybody else. Not that you will not be respected, you will get respect, but do not depend on others to value yourself. Your value comes from within. And the other advice is, if at times you feel strange, you feel lonely, doesn't matter. It's part of the process of becoming uh, in an individualistic society, individualistic in certain ways, becoming fully whole person capable of looking after yourself. So grow with it, learn with it, take it in your stride.
Mr. Dalmia, pleasure talking to me. Let me hold your novel once more for the audience so that more and more people can read it. Thank you very much for talking to me. Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you as well.
Please subscribe to our channel Reportage and press the bell icon to remain updated.